payout today, $13,000. We'll send half of that to my joint venture partner, so they'll get a little over $6,000. Not a bad deal. Guys, if you want to partner with me on these types of deals, check out my program. This one was interesting, guys. So this one, we actually contacted the wrong claimant in the beginning, okay? And what do I mean by that? So this property, this was a tax overage, so a tow, and it was owned by a corporation, okay? It was owned by a business entity, LLC, incorporation, whatever you want to call it. And we had actually contacted the person that was living in the property because we thought they were the ones entitled to the surplus. The situation was the homeowner had passed away. The person living in the property was the deceased homeowner's surviving spouse, okay? And typically, when someone is survived by their spouse, that spouse is usually going to get some sort of share, depending on the state, and also depending if it's a community property state. We won't get into that. That gets really advanced really fast. But because this home, this property, was actually owned by a corporation, and the corporation, one of the members was actually the deceased owner's son. So this kind of changed the dynamic significantly in the fact that because the property was owned by a corporation, it didn't automatically go to the spouse or the surviving heir. It went to the surviving members and managers of this corporation. So it was funny, we signed up the wife only to discover later that she wasn't the one that was going to get the overage. It was actually the son, who was a member of the corporation which owned the property. Okay, so that one fell through the cracks on the on the pre-research phase, but we were able to salvage it. It happens. Okay, it was a good learning experience. And so, couple takeaways for you guys. If you encounter a property that's owned by a corporation, look up the members of the corporation. It's very easy to do. You can go to the Secretary of State website. You can use a website called opencorporates.com. That's a good place. Not all states will have the owners of the entity as public information. So depending on the state, you may or may not be able to find out who is the owner of the entity, okay? But most states in general, you can find out who is behind the corporation, okay? And, just because, the homeowner is deceased, don't assume that it's just going to go to their surviving heirs, okay? Their surviving heirs may not be the first in line, especially if they own property under an LLC or corporation. So a little bit of a mistake on our part, but that happens, guys. You're going to make mistakes, okay? I still make mistakes in this business, okay? My partners make mistakes, but you learn with time, okay? You learn. Like I said, this was a JV deal, so this was submitted to us, and we were able to learn together on this one, okay? I should have caught that. I should have caught the fact that, hey, I should have asked who is the owner of this corporation, but it slipped through the cracks. I make mistakes too. The good thing about this business, guys, is when you do make mistakes, it usually is not a deal-ending problem. You're not going to get jacked up over a mistake that you make, okay? Sometimes a claim will get submitted, and if a judge doesn't like how a claim is worded, or if it's missing some sort of it has a typo or it's missing something, a lot of times they'll come back and say, hey, we're not going to approve this yet. This is what you need to do to change it. And so you change it, or you have your attorney change it, okay? So that's the nice thing about this business, is you can make mistakes and still get the deal done, okay? So remember that as well, because I know this is, whenever you start something new, you're terrified of making mistakes because you don't want to lose the deal, right? But it is inevitable. There is no way not to make mistakes in business, okay? It's part of the game. And if you're making mistakes, at least you're doing something. If you're not making any mistakes, you're probably not doing anything. So keep that in mind too, guys. You know, it's most mistakes in this game are not deal killers. Okay. Sometimes they can be, but then you take and you learn from it and you get better. Okay. So hope that helps. Hope you got a couple golden nuggets out of that, and appreciate you watching. Catch you in the next one.